Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. Welcome back. If you're new to me, my name's Jackie and I sit on the floor and talk about books. So welcome to my home and welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. If you like what you see, hit the thumbs up and subscribe and really help out my channel. It'd be great. For those of you who are not new to me and returning, thank you for the continued support. I love having you guys here and I really hope you're in for an exciting video because today I have our February TBR. Yay! I can't believe it's already February, guys. I can't. It's January didn't fly by, but yet it did. It's so weird, that feeling. But January, I had a fantastic reading month. I read 10 books, and that's the most books I've ever completed in 1 month before. So I am super pumped. I am on cloud 9 right now, sailing into February, ready for another kick-ass reading month. And I've got some really great book choices. So let's just dive right in. So, for your returning subscribers, you know that I'm doing the Buzzword Challenge, the TBR Jar Challenge, and the Classics Challenge. For those who are new to me, those are the 3 challenges that I'm participating in this year that require me to physically pick out specific books for them. I do have other challenges, but they're more based off of count or genre of books, which kind of are going to fall into place throughout the year, and I'll check up on them at the quarters. You know how it goes. So my TBR Jar Challenge, if you're never familiar with that, it's simply just on my wrap-ups, I pick a prompt out of this cup right here, and then I pick a book based on it, and then you find out on my TBR what it is. So I will link my January wrap-up down below so you can actually see me drawing said cup, out of said cup, and what have you. The Classics Challenge, all it is I'm just reading 1 classic book a month. It can be a modern classic, it can be a true classic, but I got the Penguin cloth-bound classics for Christmas. I got quite a few of them, so I wanted to actually create a challenge that would force me to read those. So I just didn't just have them for aesthetic on my shelf. And the Buzzword Challenge, I will link the Sorry. I will link the announcement video from BooksandLala down below as well. What she did is she picked 12 buzzwords, 12 categories of words, and assigned 1 to each month. And you are to either pick 1 book based off of that, or you can pick your whole TBR based off of that. It's kind of up to your discretion. So that's what I got. So let's get started. So my TBR jar book of the month was to reread a favorite book. And last month, I actually reread some favorite books. So it's really funny that I picked this one this month. And so when I saw that, I was like, I just did that. So what else is on my shelf that I've already read that I consider a favorite? And then my eyes fell on this one. This book I read again as a freshman in high school. So this is like becoming a recurring theme this year so far. This is Laurie Halse Anderson's Speak. This book, I remember just blowing up in my school. I was one of the first people to read this book, and then I just kept talking about it, and it got some of the more popular girls to read it, and they really liked it, so they blew it up, and then it just became this like phenomenon that took over the school. So much so that my English department, they required us to read books during the summer for the upcoming English class. The English department decided to add this to the freshman reading list for incoming freshmen girls. And they picked one for incoming freshman boys. That's kind of the equivalent of this book. But either gender can appreciate this book. You can learn so many things from this book. Doesn't matter what sex you are. Sorry, I thought I heard something. It's a snowstorm outside, so like we are literally snowed in. So it's fantastic. It's great reading weather. But anyway, so Laurie Halse Anderson Speak. This book, if you've read it, you know what happens. But it's not so much about what the material the book is. For me, it was how it was laid out. That's what really drew me to Laurie Halse Anderson, because after I read this book, I read a lot of her other works, and I really enjoyed her a lot because of the way she wrote. And so this book is definitely like one of those experience books. And it's also super short, clocking in at 197 pages. So this is the shortest book on this TBR this month so far. So, woo! My Buzzword challenge book for this month, I had 3 options to choose from because the buzzword for this month is pronouns. So he, she, him, her, they, them, all those pronouns. I'm not an English major, okay? So all those pronouns. I only had 3 options on my list that could work. And the one that really stuck out to me this month, because it is Valentine's Day this month, is the only one that was really a love story. And that is The Last Letter, Elizabeth I and the Earl of Leicester by Jeanne Weston. This is the only one of the few historical fiction books on my shelf that I have not read. And I picked this one because it is about Elizabeth I and her letters to the Earl of Leicester. Elizabeth I, as many may have known, was known as the Virgin Queen. This is the man that she would have married had she been able to offer marriage. And it's the letters of their correspondence throughout their lives, from children all the way up until his death. So the love between them, whether it was actual soulmate kind of love or was just more of a companionship sort of love, whatever kind of love story it really was, it survived through 2 failed marriages on his part, countless lovers, political intrigue, a monarchy. It survived. So I figured it was a really good month to read this book in because it's Valentine's Day and I now have a permanent Valentine with my husband. So I just thought it was fitting. So this is my Buzzword challenge book of the month. And it clocks in at 360 pages. My classics choice for this month, of course, is no different. It is a love story, and it is Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. This is one of my favorite classics. Another book that I read in high school. Granted, I was not a freshman. I was a senior when I read this book, and I fell in love with it. I wrote multiple papers on it for my high school English classes because I loved it so much. I love the pain in this story, and I know that sounds so sadist and masochistic or which one a word it is. I just love it. I love the burn. I love the angst. And the moors and Heathcliff and Catherine are just, it's just awesome. And I love literally every film adaptation I've seen of this. So really excited about this one. But I did learn from last month that I should probably sit down and physically read the classic, not an audible version of it. So I will plan on making sure to sit down and physically read this copy. And this clocks in at 337 pages. And this is one of those penguin cloth-bound books I was telling you earlier about. Isn't it just gorgeous? Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. I just love them. And this set, my husband bought for me. So my husband actually bought me this book. He bought me the Bronte sisters set. So thanks, honey. I just put honey and hubby at the same word. Thanks, babe. The next book on my list that I would like to get to this month is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornich. I'm not quite for sure how you pronounce her last name. And this is a story of a witch that is burned at the stake because Odin doesn't like her prophecy. And so she ends up escaping and meeting the trickster Loki and falling in love and marrying and having children and kind of hiding away from Odin. And then she realizes, because she does have this power of foresight, that she can't keep hiding and what she's going to do about it with her family. And it just sounds so cool, so awesome. And I love Loki. Granted, I know this is not the Loki from the Avengers movie, but I can dream. I love me some Tom Hiddleston. It's okay. I'm not ashamed of it at all. But yes, The Witch's Heart is definitely on this list, and I would like to really try to get to it. I also love this cover. I love just the way it looks. It's stunning, and I've heard really good things about this book as well. So hopefully this will be at least a 4-star, if not a 5-star. And this one comes in at 347 pages. So the next book I have is a book that I wanted to read, but also it meets one of my deterrents or punishments, whatever you want to call it. I started this month because last month I had a fantastic reading month. I read 10 books, but I put 8 on my TBR. I didn't read all 8 of those. And one of my goals this year, is to read down my physical TBR. So because I didn't read 2 of the books that I personally put on the list, they weren't on there because of a game, because I drew them, because I chose to put them on. I didn't get to them. So my husband and I discussed this, and I wanted to push myself to start not biting off so much that I couldn't chew, essentially. So we came up with this idea that for every book that I don't complete, that I physically put on my TBR, I have to draw out of this mug. Now, this mug is my husband's prompts. He came up with a bunch of prompts and he put them in here. I have no idea what's in here. It could be anything. I have zero idea, but it's all book related. So last month I didn't read 2 books, and so now I had to draw 2 prompts. Now, the catch with this is if the prompts I draw already fit in with the books I've chosen, I can do that. I don't necessarily have to add a completely separate book. I just have to kind of maybe tweak or take a book off, be like, of my choice books, those are the books that don't meet any of the challenges. They're just, I feel like reading. I have to kind of use them for that, or try to figure out books that will work that are on my TBR already. Now, occasionally I might have to go purchase a new book. Like example, this month, I had to draw 2 of these. And one of them I drew was Read Your Husband's Favorite Book from High School. So when I asked him about this, it wasn't on my shelf. I'm like, the whole purpose of me is to read my books down. But he's like, you also really enjoy buying books. So at least you're buying this book and you're immediately reading it. So that was kind of the trade-off on it. And this book is called Fallen Angels by Walter Dean Myers. I do not physically own the copy yet because I have to go purchase it, but it is about a Black combat unit during the Vietnam War. And he read it in high school, and it just resonated with him. He learned a lot about it. It always stuck with him. He remembered it clear as day. I mean, he didn't have to blip on who wrote it. Nothing. So I get to go find that book, and the edition that I have on order clocks in at 320 pages. So when it comes in, it will be on my book haul for February, but just know that I will be reading it. Now, I said I had to draw 2. The next challenge I drew was to read a book that is a TV show. This so happens to be a book that was already going to be on my TBR this month anyway, so it worked out. Yay! And that is Diana Gabaldon's Dragonfly and in Amber. So I decided to reread the Outlander series this year because Go Tell the Bees I'm Home came out last November, and I really want to read it, and it's been a while since I've read the entire series. So I want to reread them all, and so I can read that book at the end of the year, and I'll be super excited. So this is the second installment of it, and so Outlander is my favorite book of all time. It is. But I remember the ending being different because right after I read Outlander, I picked this one up and immediately started it. So in my mind, the beginning part of this book latched on to the end of Outlander. And I had prepared myself for Outlander to break my heart and rip me apart and devastate me. And it didn't happen. It was like preempted. It was the final call on the executioner's table. You finally get a pardon. And then that pardon is now taken away. And now I have to face the destruction that is this book. So I have to do all that mental prep work again for this. And I'm not excited about it, but I know that I will love every excruciating second of it. I just know, because I love this story so much. And since this is part of the Outlander television show, it meets the challenge. I believe the second part of season 1 follows this book. I believe season 1 was divided into 2 parts, and the second part is this one. I don't know how many episodes are involved, but I do know it appears in the television show, so it meets his challenge. And this guy clocks in at 743 pages. Yes. The next book I have to read is, I don't know what it is, because it is my Red Witch Bitchin' Book Club book of the month, and we meet on Friday, and that's when I will find out what book that is. I think it's my month to pick, but I'm not 100% sure, so I do have a book in mind, and it is quite short. So if it is my month to pick, I already know what it is, and we'll get through it, and you will see it. It'll be kind of like a little bit of surprise. I'm actually kind of thinking about making my book club book kind of a secret book that you'll find out on the wrap-up, because I can't always schedule the meetings to where it coincides with filming my TBR for that month. So let me know if you like the idea of kind of like a little secret book on the TBR that you don't have to wait an entire year to find. You just find out at the end of the month. So just let me know. It could be fun. So I have that book. So obviously I don't have the page count for that book either. And then there is one last book on this TBR, and it is because I had started it in January, so I wanted to complete it. And that is A Touch of Ruin by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the sequel to The Touch of Darkness, and if you combine the Hades series with it, it's the 3rd installment. I love this series. I know it gets a lot of hate because Persephone is really annoying, but Hades is awesome. I love Hades. Not from his description in this book, but his description in his counter series, because there is a companion series of The Game of, and that's just kind of what I've been calling it. So Touch of Darkness has the companion novel of Game of Fate, which is Touch of Darkness just from Hades' perspective. Touch of Ruin has the same thing, Game of Retribution, and that comes out this year, and I am so pumped because of the stuff that's going on in this book. I know that book is going to kick ass. It is going to be awesome. Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Oh my God. So this was a continuation of January, and I am happy to say that I have already completed it. This was the first book I read this month because I had already started into it, so I completed it as of last night. So I'm really pumped that I'm already on a good start, and it was a 5-star. So, but I'll talk more about it in my wrap-up. Now, those are all the books that I'm going to be reading this month. Something I found last month when I had all the books and I read the first one, I didn't know what to read next. I knew the list of books I had to read, but I just didn't know what to read next. So I came up with this sort of little game that I want to introduce you to. If anybody knows what these are, all my gamer friends and D&D buddies will know that these are what we call polyhedral dice. There are 7 dice, all different shapes, all different number counts. We have a 12-sided die. We have a 10-sided die. The 0 is the 10. We have a 20-sided die. We have a point counter. We have an 8-sided die. We have a 4-sided die. And we have a standard 6-sided die. So I looked at my books and I thought, this will be fun. So I organized them into page count, less on top, most on bottom, and just down the row. Then I took the dice that coincided with the number of books that I had. So in this instance, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 books not present. I will organize these into page number, count, and then I will pick the dice that coincides with the number of books I have. The topmost book will be 1, the bottommost book will be the next, obviously the highest number. And I'll roll that dice, and whatever number that falls on, that's the book I'm going to read next. So I don't know the order of these until I've read the next book. So I'm kind of okay with this amount of kind of like chance because I know what I'm going to be choosing out of. I just don't know the order. And sometimes that can be fun. So we're going to do that to figure out what book I read next. The Touch of Ruin, obviously, because I carried over from January, carried over first, and it is complete now. So with that out of the question, we have on top will be Speak. Then it will go to Fallen Angel, which I don't have currently at the moment. Then it will go to Wuthering Heights. And then it will go to A Witch's Heart. And then it will go to The Last Letter. And then last but not least, Dragonfly and Amber. Now, I do not have my book club book, so once I have it, I'll find that page count and I will stick it in there accordingly. So I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 physical books that I can actually roll out of. So I'm going to grab my 6-sided die and we're going to roll. So 1, 2 is Fallen Angels, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so you're going to see what I'm going to read next. So I'm going to grab my Touch of Ruin and I'm going to roll on top of it. So you see. And it is a 5. So the next book I read is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, ladies and gentlemen, His Last Letter. And that's how I'm going to choose the order of the books that I will be reading for the entire month of February. That's what I've got for you guys today. It's kind of a long one, but I wanted to explain that dice thing. So I will see you guys all very, very soon because I am partaking in a readathon this month. I will be participating in the Polarathon, and you will see my TBR for the Polarathon coming up very, very soon. It takes place February 7th through the 13th. I will link the announcement video down below. JDI Reads is the one that hosts it. JDI, I'm not quite sure how you say her name, but I will link her down below for the announcement if you guys want to join along. So stay tuned for that video, and I will see you all very soon. Have a good one. Bye.